Have you ever wondered why we fear failure so much, even though it's an inevitable part of life? This is the paradox of failure. We live in a society that places immense pressure on us to succeed, to be perfect, and to never make mistakes. But if we peel back the layers, we'll find that failure, often viewed as a negative, is actually an integral part of the learning process and personal growth. Consider this. When a child first tries to walk, they stumble and fall countless times. But do we label them as failures? Of course not. We understand that each fall is a step towards mastering the art of walking. Yet as we grow older, the fear of failure becomes deeply ingrained in us. We are taught to avoid failure at all costs, to hide our mistakes, and to feel shame when we don't succeed. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? In reality, failure is not something to be feared or avoided. It's a teacher, a guide, a motivator. It shows us what doesn't work and pushes us to find what does. It challenges us to think outside the box, to innovate, and to become resilient. When we stumble and fall, we learn to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving forward. We develop humility, understanding that we are not perfect and that everyone makes mistakes. This humility allows us to be more empathetic and understanding towards others. Moreover, failure can be a precursor to success. History is replete with stories of individuals who failed multiple times before they found success. These individuals didn't see failure as a dead end, but as a detour, a chance to learn, grow, and improve. They understood that failure was not a reflection of their worth, but simply an indication that they needed to try a different approach. So, let's reframe our perspective on failure. Rather than viewing it as a flaw or a sign of weakness, let's see it as an opportunity for growth, a chance to learn, and a stepping stone towards success. After all, the path to success is often paved with the bricks of failure. In essence, failure is not a setback, but rather a stepping stone towards success. Everyone has a story of failure, but it's the lessons learned from these failures that truly shape our lives. Let's dive into the lives of 3 individuals whose stories of failure transformed into tales of triumph. Each of these narratives will illustrate the principles of resilience, humility, and creativity gained from failure. Our first story brings us to the life of Thomas Edison, the man who lit up the world. Before he successfully invented the light bulb, Edison faced a staggering 10,000 unsuccessful attempts. His resilience was unwavering. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And when he finally succeeded, he did so with humility, attributing his success to hard work and perseverance rather than sheer genius. Next, we turn to J.K. Rowling, the author of the beloved Harry Potter series. Before she enchanted the world with her magical tales, Rowling faced numerous rejections from publishers. Despite her circumstances, she continued to believe in her story and did not let failure deter her. Her humility is evident in her words. It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Our third and final story introduces us to Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple Inc. Jobs was famously fired from his own company, a failure that could have broken many. But Jobs used this setback as an opportunity to think creatively, to innovate, and to start anew. He later returned to Apple and led it to become one of the most successful tech companies in the world. Jobs once said, "I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me." Each of these stories illustrates how failure, though painful at the moment, can lead to incredible success. Edison's resilience, Rowling's humility, and Jobs' creativity were all forged in the crucible of failure. They remind us that failure is not something to be feared or avoided. It is something to be embraced as a part of the journey to success. These stories remind us that failure is not a full stop, but a comma in the journey of success. They show us that failure can be a stepping stone to success, a teacher of resilience, a cultivator of humility, and a catalyst for creativity. So, the next time you face a setback, remember these stories. Remember that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. And always remember, you are not defined by your failures, but by how you respond to them. These stories remind us that failure is not a full stop, but a comma in the journey of success. If failure is so beneficial, what are the key lessons we can learn from it? Let's dive into that question, starting with resilience. When we stumble, when our plans falter, it's resilience that picks us up and dusts us off. It's the backbone of our character, the grit in our spirit, and it's failure that teaches us resilience. Each time we fall short, we discover anew our capacity to rise, to adapt, to keep moving forward. Next, we learn humility. Failure is a profound teacher of this virtue. It reminds us that we are human, fallible, and imperfect. Each mistake, each misstep brings us face to face with our own limitations and teaches us to extend compassion to others in their own moments of failure. We begin to understand that everyone has their own battles, their own failures and victories, and this understanding fosters humility. Then comes the spark of creativity. When we fail, we're forced to step out of our comfort zone, to look at the problem from a different perspective. It pushes us to innovate, to devise new strategies, to think outside the box. Failure in this sense can be a catalyst for creativity, spurring us to dream bigger and reach further. Finally, there's success. This might seem paradoxical, but failure can indeed pave the way for success. By learning from our mistakes, we refine our approach. We become wiser, more experienced. Those who have tasted failure often find that it's the seasoning that makes success all the more sweet. So, resilience, humility, creativity, success. These are the lessons that failure imparts. And these aren't just qualities that help us achieve our goals. They shape us as individuals. They make us stronger, more understanding, more innovative, and ultimately more successful. Failure, therefore, is not a defeat, but an opportunity for growth. So when you stumble, remember these lessons. Embrace the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become the best version of yourself. So, how do we move past the fear of failure and embrace it as a part of our journey? Let's dive into some practical strategies. First and foremost, we need to reframe our mindset. Failure is often seen as the enemy, a black mark against our name. But what if we start viewing it as a friend, a teacher guiding us towards our ultimate success? When we shift our perspective, we begin to see failure not as a wall blocking our path, but as a stepping stone on our journey. It's an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to evolve. Each failure is a lesson, providing valuable insights and knowledge that we wouldn't gain otherwise. Imagine if Thomas Edison had given up after his first failed attempt at inventing the light bulb. He famously said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison understood that each failure was an opportunity to learn, to refine his process and inch closer to success. Now, let's address another important factor, understanding that failure is not a reflection of self-worth. You are not your failures. When we fail, it doesn't mean that we are less capable or less valuable. It simply means we're human, and humans make mistakes. It's part of the process, it's part of life. Failure doesn't define us, it refines us. It molds us into stronger, more resilient versions of ourselves. It teaches us humility, compassion, and understanding. It makes us more human. It's crucial to remember that everyone fails at something at some point in their lives. Even the most successful people you admire have experienced failure, but they didn't let it stop them. They used it as fuel to keep going, to keep pushing, to keep striving for success. In the grand scheme of things, failure is not a catastrophe, but a catalyst for change and improvement. It's the grit in the oyster that creates the pearl. It's the storm that brings the rainbow. So embrace it, learn from it, and let it guide you on your journey to success. Remember, every failure brings with it the seed of equivalent success. It's a truth that often gets overlooked in the heat of disappointment. But what really separates those who succeed from those who don't isn't a lack of failure, but the power of persistence. Think about it. Every time you stumble, every time you fall, you're presented with two choices: to stay down or to get back up. It's in the choosing to rise time and time again where the magic happens. Repeated failure may seem daunting, but in reality, it's just a series of stepping stones guiding you towards your ultimate goal. In the face of adversity, persistence is your greatest ally. It's the voice that whispers, "Try again," when the world screams, "Give up." So remember, the only true failure is giving up. So keep going. Your success story is just around the corner. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment.